Voiceover Coffee Shop, Episode 7.
Welcome to the Voiceover Coffee Shop, where we share our morning with some of the finest names in voiceover. And now, here's your host, voice actor Andrew Morrison.
Hi there. My name is Andrew Morrison, and welcome to the Voiceover Coffee Shop, where we start our day with some of the finest names in voiceover. If you'd like to know more about me, feel free to visit my personal website at www.voicebard.com. In today's episode, we have my dear friend, Sam Kwasman. Sam is a veteran actor who's most notably known for his roles in Robot Chicken, as well as being a series regular in the Tom and Jerry show for his part as Little Quacker. From his time working with Lucille Ball to his cameo in the award-winning Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee as the product placement guy, I felt like Sam was the perfect person to shed light on the process of character development.
How are you? Oh boy, how about that? Oh yeah.
So how do you take your coffee?
How do I take my coffee?
Mm-hmm.
I take it with Splenda and half, and I like the dark roast. Dark French roast massage à toi, no? Yeah.
Oh, you and me both.
Je ne parle un peu. There you go.
So what got you your start in the entertainment industry?
To tell you the truth, I was a kid, and my first play was at 11 called "Have I Got a Girl for You," with Mark Richmond and Mabel Albertson, and then I stopped and went to school. And all I did was study dancing, acting, singing. And I got a job at 19 in a show called Disney on Parade. And Anna White had just won the Academy Award for Oliver. And she was a big choreographer. And she did Music Man and Bye Bye Birdie. And she hired me as an original cast member for Disney on Parade. And I was dancing in the show. And we were in rehearsal. And I did the voice of Donald Duck. And they went, "You're the next voice of Donald Duck for the show. Will you do it live?" I just want to say about Disney on Parade, it's what you see today is Disney on Ice. Mm-hmm. So what they skated, we danced. So we called ourselves Holiday on Wood. But that was the after effect of dancing. It became an ice show. And it's basically the same exact thing, except we were a huge show back then. And had like 30 dancers in it, and I was the lead alligator in Fantasia, and Patrick Swayze was Prince Charming. How did that happen? I mean, I could have been Prince Charming. Not up against Patrick Swayze though. So he was a great guy, and so anyway, Anna was choreographing Mame at the at Warner Brothers. And so I went into audition, and Anna goes, and Lucille Ball was there. She had starred Lucy, name was, and she had these big glasses and a bunch of hair, and she was just sitting there, and Anna goes, "Oh, this is Sam, I discovered him as the voice of Donald Duck for Disney on Parade. Do Donald for Lucy." So I did Donald for Lucy, and she goes, "That's very good." Then I got on the set, and I danced in the main number Mame, and I got to talk to Lucy. She was wonderful. She told me stories. So yeah, it was fun.
So you did you went from dancing to on stage work. So how did that translate to voiceover work? How did you start doing work with Seth Green and with the Tom and Jerry show?
That's interesting. That was many years later. I was already doing Tom and Jerry show, and that's an interesting story how I got that job.
Yeah. And
a friend of mine calls me up out of the blue and says, "I just did Robot Chicken. They're looking for a duck voice." And I said, so I recommended you. And I said, "Oh, that's great." So they said to me, "Well, it's great that you did Donald Duck, but we need you to audition with our dialogue," which is normal. That's what they ask you to do. So I sent it in, and I got the job on Robot Chicken. So with Robot Chicken, not only do you do one voice, you do three voices. So I did something with Brian Austin Green and Megan Fox, and then I did something else as Dracula or something, you know. And we have a new one coming up where I'm Roadrunner. Meep, meep.
Are you allowed to talk about the Roadrunner one?
Well, no, it hasn't come out yet, so all I can tell you is it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And Robot Chicken is pretty funny anyway. So we did one with Mickey and Donald at a bar picking up chicks a few years back, and that I think is one of the best. It was like 30 seconds long, and it was just hilarious. And I'm skipping around here a little, but when I was younger, I went to the Mel Blanc School of Voices, and I still have my certificate. But I did manage to get over to Disney Studios and started doing their records and toys and things. They didn't do any cartoons when I did it. But here's one of my albums. This is totally mini. It's out of print now. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's out of print, and here's the back. And I did Dear Daisy on this. And I did it with Peter Renaday was the voice of Mickey Mouse, and Tony Pope was the voice of Goofy. And we've been doing these voices for a good 15, 20 years. You know, I did it for 17, and Peter was there for 20 years at least. And Tony, unfortunately, has passed away, wound up as Teddy Ruxpin afterwards, but he was the voice of Goofy for a good 15 years or so. And so we were a team. And we do all these records and these toys and these commercials. And it was a lot of fun back then, you know. And then Disney wanted one voice for each character. And they took all three of us out and brought in 3 new guys. So that's what they do with that's showbiz, you know.
Was it the same casting director?
No. When Eisner took over, everybody left. I mean, everybody was replaced. He replaced a lot of people. So, and that's what he did. So it's par for the course in showbiz, you know, nothing lasts forever, you know, so you just got to be grateful that you did it when you did it.
Right. Okay. So, how much of your voiceover work was marketing versus networking?
Networking. Yeah. It's really, back when I did it, it was a closed shop. They'd have one guy could do 100 voices, and that was it. You know, that's, you know, it was a hard thing to break in. I think Mel Blanc said it the best to me. I went to his school, and his son introduced me to him. He would come in and teach the class, but he was in his office, and Noel brought me in, and Donald dubbed me Daffy Duck. I did Donald, he did Daffy. And he says, it's great you can do somebody else's voice. He said, but I made my whole career on original voices, and that's what you should concentrate on. So believe me, I have tried to do original voices for years, and he was right and he was wrong, because when he passed away, it took 10 people to replace him, right? Because he could do hundreds of voices. So I mean, you've had what, 3 or 4 Bugs Bunnies by now. You have a new Daffy Duck. You know, Bob Bergen's been doing Porky and Tweety for a long, long time.
Right.
And you know, it's like these guys, they're lucky. And they'll tell you right to your face, I was lucky. I got a break. And that's really what it's about. You know, right time, right place, and who you know, and all that stuff. And marketing helps. I know there are people who put the word out. They have a voiceover demo. I have a voiceover demo. I have an agent. And normally my auditions now come through the agents, but I got requested this year or last year for Looney Tunes, and we did a Looney Tunes, and we did a Robot Chicken, and we did a bunch of Tom and Jerry's. And I'm also submitting, I write on the show, Tom and Jerry. So we did Quacker's Lucky Penny this year, and I did a bunch of others. And I think it's a great show. And now the movie's coming out, but the movie's coming out, so we've changed the venue. It used to be, you know, in the suburbs in a house, and now it's at a hotel in a big city like New York, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So about your work with Jerry Seinfeld, how did you meet Jerry Seinfeld, and how did you become the product placement guy in his show Comedians Get Coffee in Cars? And
yeah, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I knew Jerry Seinfeld from doing stand-up comedy, and we did stand-up together, and he remembered me. And I got it through Barry Mortar, who is his head writer. And Barry cast me in Letters from a Nut, produced by Jerry Seinfeld at the Geffen Theater. And then we made a movie out of it. It's shot as a theatrical piece, not as a movie. And it's now on Amazon Prime. It's very funny. It's about a guy who writes crazy letters to corporations and they answer him. He sends a letter to China and says, I need, Batman fat man suits for fat people, 600 pounds and above. Size 56 waist. Can you do it? I need 6,000 of them. And they write them back. And they say, sure, we can do that. Because, okay, we're coming to China, make sure we can get into Panda Express. They write back and say, what's a Panda Express? Because they eat real Chinese food. Right. So it goes on, and it's very funny stuff. And I was really proud to be part of that. And Barry's a fantastic, phenomenal comedy writer. And so that's how it happened. Again, Jerry had called up Barry and said, I need a product placement guy, and I need one fast. He goes, well, how about Sam? He goes, go get him. That guy can do everything. So I got lucky. Again, it was right time, right place. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah, and Jerry's a great guy. So Barry, no words can replace a friend like that, somebody who really goes out of his way for you and trusts that you'll do a good job.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So
what other voiceover work have you done?
Well, I was on, let's see, I've done Super Bowl commercials. I did a Kawasaki commercial on a Super Bowl where I made all the motorcycles talk. Okay. And I was on camera many years ago. And I did Ghostbusters, the cartoon. And that was because of Arsenio Hall and Frank Welker was there, and Maurice LaMarche. Those guys are giants. I mean, right. Frank Welker and Mo, Mo's the sweetest guy on earth, and Frank's very generous. Arsenio recommended me, and I got on to Ghostbusters. So I played a scared ghost that screams a lot. Had to do my screaming, So I've done that, and I've done commercials, various commercials on camera and off camera. I was the Butterfinger Boy. They actually had a musical Butterfinger guy where I sang and danced on screen because I started as a dancer, and they never aired it. I have a copy of it, but they never aired it because they said, you buy a Butterfinger bar, it's 50 cents or $1 or something back then. And if we were to put out a $300,000 musical comedy commercial, they would think that, we're this huge corporation, which is what they are. But they want you to think they're a mom and pop local place that gives you a Butterfinger bar that you can buy for 50 cents or something. And it was very bizarre because now The Simpsons, which they must pay $1 million for or more to represent Butterfingers. So go figure, times change.
Right. So when you're going into to audition for voiceover work, what does your character development process look like?
Well, there are times when they don't even give you a picture. Mm-hmm. It's great if you see a picture with a guy with a long nose.
Oh, that's a luxury, right?
Yeah, he might talk like this, or talk through his nose. And you want to do placement like in the back of your throat or in the front of your throat. There are places you can, a guy with no chin, the way he looks and the way he talks is a way to understand somebody who wants to talk, something like this. And accents are important. French, I once dubbed over Cheech Marin for Born in East LA. Mm-hmm. So, hey man, what are you doing, dude? Hey, in Sin Rosita Tarzana Tahanga Notali with Abrea Figueroa Boulevard in North Hollywood. I did his voice. And I went and saw the show. It was on television. Back then, they took all the swear words out of the show. So you had to say, oh man, oh fudge, oh shoot,
Gee golly, right.
yeah, golly, gosh, gee whiz, gosh darn it, gosh, hey man, gosh darn it, what are you doing, And so I was so thrilled and it was going to be on television. I brought my wife in and my kids, so we're going to watch this thing. And it was dead on. And I go, wow, I'm good. And I went in to do another voiceover for a movie called just S's. It was a big movie back in the 80s.
That was the entire name of the movie.
The entire name of the movie is just SSSSS. That was it. And so they said to me, I said to the guy, I said, it's great. I'm here. I'm going to do this another movie. Can I ask you a question? I watched Born in East LA, and I swear to God, I sounded just like Cheech. And he goes, well, you are our insurance, because Cheech came in at the last minute and dubbed it over. He said, but you were good. So actually, Cheech did it. He put in he did the dubbing. But I thought it was pretty damn good.
Yeah. So how often do you do auditions now? Do you still go in and audition, or do they just know you by name and they're like, yeah, we'll just call Sam?
Yeah. Well, for Ducks, for Robot Chicken, they'll call me in.
Mm-hmm.
And they just called me in as a guest for Looney Tunes without even having me audition.
Oh.
So, because it's all, Looney Tunes is Warner Brothers and Tom and Jerry's Warner Brothers. So I guess they just, said, come on in. And I go to my friend's house, or I do it right here in my own house, depending on what I want, for the sound. He has better equipment. So if it's really an important voiceover audition, I will go to a studio like my friend, and I'll do the voice there because he directs. So if I think it's very important, that's what I'll do. Like there was a video game that I auditioned for yesterday, and I went to my friend's house because he also directs. And he'll say something like, well, that, you want to keep that organic.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to make it, you're too cartoony. Because, I'm so used to doing cartoons. Hey, I'm over here. Come here. Hey, what are you doing?
Right.
Stuff like that. It's about placement. We were talking about it. If the guy has a nose, a long nose or something, or a big forehead, how do you interpret that in your voice?
Right.
Or you look for somebody else, who's going to stick out like this. So, hey, Tuffy, how are you today? And he's probably owns a yacht. So you get the attitude and the picture of the person, but it's the acting. Right. It's not just the voice. I mean, they can teach you placement, right? But how do you interpret? Like when I do an audition, I don't do every line the same. It's well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? So there's 3 different versions. And that's what you do when you go in and you record. They want 3 different versions of the line or the phrase, and you do each one that way. Even with Donald Duck, even with Little Quacker. Let's do it again. Let's give them, let's emphasize that was too loud, that was too soft, that was too harsh. Make it more innocent.
Warner Brothers auditions and things of that nature, like you do each line 3 times, or you do the whole script 3 times individually?
No, you do each line.
Okay, and those
each
are
line, or unless it's a paragraph. And then if it's a paragraph, then you want to do the whole paragraph and then repeat it 3 times.
Okay.
Okay, that's how we do it. And the director will tell you, okay, look, they listen to it because they can always cut up the 3 versions and tape them together to get what they want. If they don't hear it, they ask you to do it again. Well, it's usually 1 or 2. I mean, with Little Quacker, it's
I give the baba. Oh boy.
Okay, so that's 1. Then
I give the baba. I give the baba. Oh boy.
Something like that. So you're doing it 3 times.
Oh You the mama. I love the mama. Oh boy.
You know, so he's sad there. So this is the idea, is to give him a personality. You want to give him a character. It's the acting that you really want to emphasize. Anybody can do the voice. I mean, I have people coming up to me all the time, you know, doing a duck, and I don't know which end it comes out of, you know, and I'm just, okay, great. But it's, everybody comes up to me and does Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny or, you know, even the Roadrunner, you know. But what they don't know, it's the acting. You want to create a character that can sing, that can laugh, that can cry, that can be somber, you know, that can be guilty, you know.
Was that me? Did I do that?
You know, it's like, you know, was it me? Did I do that? You know, so you want to create emotional background for the character. And like I said, there are times when they just describe the character and they don't even show you a picture.
Right.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, I get a lot of that, which is part of why I like doing video games. It's because like, yeah, you've got like a big 6-foot orc who kind of slouches, so I can just walk into my studio and like unhinge my jaw a little bit. Oh, well, you know what I mean? Do that whole sort of thing. But yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Well, I think you would do better than me because you have a bigger than life voice, and they look for guys like you with a voice that's bigger than life, like Brad Garrett, you know, who's 6'9", by the way, very funny stand-up, and he was doing superheroes. You know, he was always the villain in the Superman cartoons because he's got the bigger than life voice,
right?
And that's what they look for. And then there's Ed Asner, my pal, who's done a ton of cartoons because he knows gruff. His personality, his characters on Lou Grant and Mary Tyler Moore. I don't know if your fans are familiar with those old shows, but even no matter what he does, there's a gruffness. You know, he's got it down. But he's got a huge acting range. He can do comedy. He can do drama. Those are the guys they look for. Guys like, I mean, to me, Michael Keaton. How you can't do better than Michael Keaton.
Right.
Or Gary Oldman. I mean, these guys have a huge range, acting range. And I think the word acting is a bad word for people who pretend to be somebody else. Because you're not acting. You're not pretending. You're trying to be real. You want the reality of that character as a foundation, as a base. So that's what you want to do. You want to create a reality. Look at Michael Keaton. They criticized him for being Batman, you know, when he first did it. And I'm going, oh, no. You know, if anybody can do Batman, Michael Keaton could do that. You know, this guy, you know, there's nothing he can't do. Right. But he did it. But he created two characters. He created Bruce Wayne and Batman. And he did it so iconically, they did another 2 movies because it was a huge success. And of course, it's not just him, it's the writing, it's the directing, it's the, you know, relationships you have. But basically, he's Batman. I mean, he's coming back to do it again, I think. And watch those guys. Those are the guys you want to watch. You learn from people like that. You learn from Mel Blanc, you learn from everybody. And like I said, Pat Fraley. I mean, to me, Ed Asner, I've known him for many, many decades now. And he's got this range, and when you watch him, you watch for how he approaches a character. You could be the video game guy, the bad guys, the good guys. You know, we have a guy on Tom and Jerry. His name is Steve Stanton. Mm-hmm. He works on those Clone Wars cartoons. There's nothing he can't do. He's got this huge range of characters, and I don't think he needs to do anything else except, you know, voiceover.
So with the pandemic going on and everybody being quarantined as it is, people who are not within the major cities like Burbank or Dallas or Ontario, how would they get their demos into the hands of the people that need to see it?
You do a voiceover demo, and you've got to, I think in this case, with the pandemic going on, the only thing going on is animation.
Right.
They've stopped film production on camera, but cartoons are exploding. Netflix is opening up a 17,000 square foot building, and they're going to be doing 4 major cartoons a year, major movies. They're animation.
Mhm.
I'm sure they'll use a lot of celebrities, but
Right.
they'll also use, other voices for background or whatever, And my point is that I don't know what to tell you about an agent other than you just need to submit. And I would start locally and build your resume, because they want to see that you have credits. And like I said, when I started, it was a closed shop. It was very difficult to break in. You really had to be unique.
Right.
So the fact that I had a foothold with Donald Duck, it got me into voiceover. And I still had a hard time getting work. So it's a very competitive, and it's who do you trust? It's like any other job. Well, again, I would write a letter and try to approach some of these agencies. Like there's Abrams, there's CESD, there's Sandy Schnar. These guys do voiceover. They specialize in it. Abrams, Rubaloff. My point is, though, I would write them a letter and try and reach them and send them your voice demo.
A physical letter?
Physical letter, or to get their attention. You send them an email. Where's that going to go?
Right. So would you suggest...
get the name of the agent that specializes in voiceover for that agency.
So would you suggest like attaching like a CD to it, or
either that would be a great idea, or give them like I have a website, samk3000.com, SAMKAY3000.com. So when Robot Chicken asked me about doing Donald Duck, I said, well, here's my website. You can listen to my Donald Duck, 17 years of Donald Duck in 2.5 minutes. So they did. And then they asked me to audition because they didn't know who I was, And now I'm in their group. So I'm thrilled to do that. So it just takes a little bit of luck to get in. But, if you have a website, and you should,
I do,
and put all your stuff on there, that's what you should do. And that would, then you can direct them to your website, and you put it in the letter. Please go to HTTPS, whatever it is, and go from there. Andrew something, Andrew Morris. Yeah. And or send them a CD. They'll go, gee, how do I play this? So I would just send them to my website. Get a website, wix.com. It's free. And create a website, put all your credits on there, put all your voiceover demos on there, your on-camera demos, even if it's non-unit, it doesn't matter. They want to see what you look like. And you need to get people to see that. They need to go there.
Right. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you said you wish you went back and produced, but what do you feel like your greatest takeaway? Like if you were to end your career now in the voiceover industry, what was your biggest takeaway from it? What was the part that resonated with you the most?
Well, it's hard to say because I absolutely loved and just loved performing. And I didn't care if I was a ventriloquist or Donald Duck or Little Quacker. I spent my life acting, and it didn't really matter. It's always something really exciting. Like I was at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, again, acting lessons. And I was there and I choreographed and directed and created some scenes from The Producers, which Mel Brooks did on as a movie and a stage play. Well, I played Bialystok, and I could sing and dance and act. And to me, that was the greatest. And so when I do Little Quacker for Tom and Jerry cartoons, it's because I really, really love performing. And so long as I can do the part, and that's what I care about. And had I been a producer or a director, a lot of these guys just put themselves in the movie. They put themselves in the show. Well, I wrote it. I'm going to star in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like to thank Sam for his time and wonderful words on what exactly it takes to be a voiceover artist. I really hope you enjoyed this first-person look from the perspective of a talent working for giants in the industry, as well as Sam's great insight on auditioning and submitting to agents, even during a time as uncertain as a pandemic. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Voiceover Coffee Shop. For more information on guests, new episodes, and more, be sure to visit www.vocoffeeshop.com.